Hey, Trevor Matthews here. Welcome to another morning coffee with Trevor. Thanks to everyone once again for hanging out, coming to join me for coffee this early in the morning. I'm getting a lot of requests from people on the West Coast say, "Can you push it back a little bit? 3:30 a.m. is a little early for me." So, well, we'll see. Today is day 16. Sharing knowledge, having conversation, having coffee with all of you. So I've been really enjoying this and having a lot of fun. Yesterday we were having a conversation right at the end with I believe it was George, and he was talking about he's trying to help develop newer technicians or other technicians into the field, people that are maybe less experienced or really that need some guidance in the industry. And he felt like he's not getting any like feedback and doesn't seem like he's putting a lot of this effort in and there's no results. So one thing that you need to understand when you're training and you're educating people is that you need to understand where they're at, first of all, but yeah, you really need to find ways to affect them. Like, how is it going to help them? Like, because most educators really want to help. Like, they want to really bring that person to the next level, to get them better, to be doing better, to try harder. And there's a lot of times where you need to change your approach, maybe. And one of the big things you don't want to do is, get down hard on yourself. Like, because I know I could tell George was kind of, feeling bad that, he built and spent a lot of this time building like a nice document for them that's probably super easy to read. And there's so much content in there and, really helpful to help them grow. But he doesn't think nobody opened it up or looked at it. And one of the things you need to make sure you do is not give up on that, because this is going to happen. You need to push forward and keep trying different ways, different approach to help share that knowledge and teach and train and educate. Because everybody learns differently. There's different ways to learn. You have some people are visual learners. They watch it. They see something and then they can do it, or they read it and then they can do it, or they're kinesthetic learners where they need to do it with their hands. But all in all, everyone has those traits. So some people say, well, I don't learn by listening, or reading, but really you do. You need to read a manual. Maybe you learn more by doing it with your hands, kinesthetic learning. But we learn all different ways. You're just better at different learning different ways. Like maybe you learn a bit quicker or faster when you're doing it by hands. But at the end of the day, especially in our industry, you have to. It doesn't matter if you're watching a video, you're listening to a podcast, you're reading a manual. At the end of it, you have to do something. You have to do it. And that's, you know, just part of our role. If you're not doing any, and it doesn't really matter if it's our industry or not, you still have to do something, even though you listen, you hear it, you touch it, you have to do something. Joel, what's happening, brother?
Hey,
Y- Your audio is not working, Joel. You're like a robot. You're like a robot right now.
Hey, Trevor.
That's that's a
Much
bit
better,
better.
right?
Yeah, that's better.
Right. Um, I will agree with what he's saying because I would say in my early time in the trade, I didn't do much reading, right? I had a manager at the time, he saw the potential in me, and he said, all I wanted to do is start to read some more. And I actually started to do it. Yes, sometimes reading first for men, if it's not exciting, sometimes we get bored or we fall asleep or whatever. But sometimes it's how your ability to learn. I would say what helped me a lot also too, and you know, would have been the Advanced Refrigeration podcast. That podcast, those guys really, some exciting stuff they have experienced and have said in that podcast. I even find myself in the podcast taking a lot of notes, replaying back some of the content that they will give, you know. So I actually have a book with notes actually from majority of the podcasts, you know, sometimes I go back to that book to say, hey, oh, this is what I need to do here. So yeah, it's how everybody learns differently, and finding that spot where you learn and how you grasp things. And as I said, some people is according to where they are. Sometimes it's how to let's pull back a little bit to find out, hey, you are not here. So I need to just carry you back to this spot and then bring you back up to speed for learning.
I 100% agree. I do the same thing. Like I listen to most of the advanced refrigeration podcasts. Brett and Kevin do a great job. They're in the field day in, day out, and they want to share that knowledge. They want to help others, and I do the same thing. I take notes when I'm listening to some podcasts. I'll be taking notes. I don't just always listen because I've listened
Yeah, for
to
real. I think some
dozens.
good podcasts is like
Yeah. So it doesn't matter if it's a technical podcast,
I
personal
think some
development
other
podcast.
podcasts, some good ones are yeah. Yeah. Some other good podcasts are like the Chill Skills, and also too I think Dan Frost has one, I think, with either Jim or some forget his name. Those are some other good podcasts also too.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've listened to all those as well. Once again, you got to invest in yourself. You got to learn about these different things, and everyone has a different perspective on things, and what it is. Sometimes it's when someone says it in a different way. You could have heard it 25 times and you didn't get it, but it's just when you have that trainer, that educator, that mentor, and they say it in a way that clicks for you, and you get it and it comes across and you understand that. And that's when, I love doing those trainings. I really love doing in-person talks, and when I'm talking to them and to technicians or refrigeration professionals or whoever it is when I see the light go on, be like, wow, I understand that concept. And that's such a great feeling for a training and an educator. But getting back to George's point where, you're struggling, or he's struggling trying to get the knowledge to these other younger technicians, or they don't have to be younger, they're just other technicians in the field. One thing you can't give up, there are certain ways that you can give information, and maybe it's somebody else giving them information, or maybe there has to be a bigger purpose. What's in it for them? Like, yes, we're here, you guys come here every morning, a lot of you, to learn, just hang out, have a coffee, and take in maybe some new knowledge. But probably you guys know all the stuff that I've been talking about right now. All of you have this knowledge, but maybe it's something else. Maybe it's getting them to think that, okay, well, you can get a better job down the road. Maybe you can get a raise. Maybe you got to start thinking, and this is what we don't do in our industry, is what is next? I love being a technician. I loved it. But for 10, 12 years while I was in the field, I never thought about what's next. Because when you hit 50, 60 years old, slugging compressors is really tough. Our job is not easy, climbing up and down ladders. And so you need to, I really believe in school we should be talking about this, the transition. Because I don't plan on leaving refrigeration, right? But I do plan on making different moves and really developing my career, because this is how I believe it should be working. We should be getting more technicians in the field. We should be developing them to be sales, project managers, service managers, business owners, and then continue to feel the funnel. So here, this is your career. You're in the field 10, 12, 15 years, but during those 10 or 12, 15 years, you're building your skills to become the next position in refrigeration or in HVAC. And we don't do enough of that. So I'm trying to figure out things. And if you guys have ideas, please send me emails and message me. But I'm trying to come up with ideas on how to encourage more people to get into our industry, kind of just like George is doing, help train them, educate them, and show them a path. So if you do this education, you put all the hard work in now, this is kind of where you could be, because we don't talk about that. It's like I've made a pile of money working in refrigeration, but for the 10 years that I was in refrigeration, I spent all of it. Nobody talked to me about financing. or saving money or putting it into, even though I did business schools and I did know, I shouldn't say that. I did read books. I read The Wealthy Barber. Talks about, saving 10% of your money, every paycheck, 10%. And I did read that stuff, but it never clicked with me. Like, it wasn't like someone told me and talked to me and I had a mentor and a coach said, this is really important, because when you hit, 50, 60, 70 years old, you're still going to live another 20, 30 years, potentially 40 years. As the years go on, we get better health and technology and things that are going to help us live longer. But it didn't click with me. So this is the thing. Maybe that's the kind of conversations you can have, that when you start educating yourself a bit more, understanding your skill, your trade, the growth potential in our industry. Because a lot of people think, well, I'm just going to be a technician and that's it. Well, that's not true. There's so much opportunity in our industry. I'm sure lots of you have plans and goals and striving for something, right, in our industry. Is everybody here either in the field or manager, or what's some of your guys' role? What do you do in refrigeration or in HVAC? Anybody want to share?
Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning.
Yes, this is Adeomi speaking. I work as a designer, so I design refrigeration systems. So the whole plant, compressor sizing, mechanical room layouts, condenser selection, piping requirements, and things related to that.
That's awesome. And so how long have you been doing this for?
It's been 2 years, 4 months now.
Wow. So I bet you in just 2 years and 4 months, you've learned a lot of stuff.
Oh, yes, I've learned a lot of stuff, and I'm still learning, still growing as well.
Yeah, well, in refrigeration, you never stop learning, or in HVAC, whatever side of the industry you're in, you don't stop learning, because it continues to change, it continues to grow, there's more equipment, and it's so big. What's one of the things in the last 2.5 years, one of the biggest things that you've learned that's really helping you get better at what you do?
I learned that learning is never an ending process. So like it's a continuous process, and that I need to just keep striving and keep learning all the time.
Yeah, and that's
why I'm here as well this morning.
Yeah. That's a great attitude, and I really appreciate you being here, and hopefully there's some value that you get out of this. And for me, when I do training sessions, it could be an hour training session, it could be a day training session, multiple day training session. My goal, to be honest with all of you, is to really have like even just one thing affect someone in that training. So it doesn't have, because there's a lot of times that I've put a pile of information. I remember when I first started out, I'm throwing like knowledge down, just giving all I have. And I've noticed that the more information you give, sometimes you lose a lot of people. It depends on the learner as well, but it doesn't matter even if they're a quick learner and they have knowledge in that program, I'll say, or whatever the topic is. Sometimes it's just too much. Right. So you really need to, I started to pull back on the amount of knowledge I would give, because the real growth is when people can, you learn it, you can explain it to someone else, and then you can go apply it, and that's where the growth happens for me, because you take that knowledge. I use like something called Bloom's taxonomy approach. You take the knowledge, you take the concept to it, you can explain it, and then you apply it. And it's really important to me to help others continue to learn. And that's the big thing. So it's great to see that you are here and you want to learn a bit more. I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Donald, manager, I'd like to keep update on what's going on in the trades. Yeah, for sure. Because there's just so much that's going on. Like, for example, regulations. That's something I never even thought about before I started working. When I did work at Copeland, like, I didn't think of regulations when I was out in the field. And even now I talk to a lot of technicians, and they don't know that You know, there's certain gases that are delisted or phased down or phased out because it's not something that maybe their manager's talking about or their wholesalers talking about, depending on where you're at. And it's growing more and more. I get a lot of requests lately on refrigerant retrofits, you know, because we're seeing a lot and then we're running into issues, you know. So it's something to continue to grow in. And the people who like to learn seek it out. You know, you're always seeking, like a lot of you're seeking it out. You're coming because you want to learn a little bit more. But there's a lot of people that want to learn as well, but they don't know where to go. They don't know who to turn to, and the people that they turn to is not very helpful. You know, that's one of the things about different personality. There's a lot of negative people out there. You do something different outside there, it's somebody else's comfort zone, and they give you a hard time, or they're talking down to you. And why would you do that? You know, like there's lots of people said you're crazy. Go to start your own training business. Who's going to pay for training? Like, why would that? You know, how are you going to make money doing that? You know, go stay with your $100,000, $100,000 a year job, and don't take a chance. You know, people told me that. You know what I mean? Like, it's for me. I have a bigger purpose and want to really help. It doesn't matter. I've listened to people for years and years who talk me out of stuff, or myself. Probably the biggest critic on yourself is going to, you know, or myself is me. You know, and I had to get into the mindset that I can do this. I can really make a difference, help refrigeration professionals, help more technicians out there, help people become better. You know, if it's technical being better, is it personal development? Is it, you know, just having someone to have a conversation with to get to that next level? Because I've seen it time and time again. It could be other technicians, it could be service manager, operation manager, or business owners just do not respect themselves, and they don't respect the people that they work with or around. And then you'll see different companies where you have true leaders, where they care about those technicians, they care about the service manager, they care about the operation manager, and they put plans in place. They're strategic about it. They're not just putting fires out all the time. They work on the business, not in the business. That's what I learned that out of a book I'm reading right now. It's E-Myth of HVAC contractors. I think it's Ken Goodwin. I'll have to look up his last name, but that's what he talks about. You know, a lot of contractors, you know, they're working in their business, you know, not on their business. And a lot of they don't have the entrepreneurial mindset. And that's what I'm still even working on. You know, I'm trying to understand that, like, okay, I don't at 10 a.m., you know, I'm not there in the field or in the office or that. At 10 a.m., I got to do this. You know what I mean? Or I'm taking a break, hanging out with my kids, or whatever it is. It's to get that understanding that, you know, there's things that you need to focus on. And for me, is getting out of the employee mindset. It's really hard. It's difficult for me. So it's stuff you always continue to work on. And then for me, I want to learn more. So I'm continuing trying to learn new technologies, new things about refrigeration, different parts of the industry, so I can come and share it with more people, bring more value to others. And, you know, for me, that's my mission. You know, one of my missions is to help grow the industry, refrigeration professionals, get them better at really what they do, to feel more confident, to feel better about doing refrigeration. And it's a continuous process. Learning is a continuous process. But at the end of the day, you really want to not only do it for yourself, but do it for others. I've been growing way faster in the last few years, where I'm trying to help other people, sharing my knowledge and thinking about me. And it's really, I really enjoy seeing the growth of others. That makes me happy, makes me proud. It makes me feel like I'm getting my job and my mission started. Yeah, I had an opportunity to bring in manufactured training regimens such as DVD, wall charts, photos, handouts. I also ran across individual prefer hands-on only. That was challenging because there was a learning gap. Yeah, 100%. You really do need to come up with different ideas. And that's why with newer technology now, it makes it a bit easier, because, you know, there's lots of people that are just on their phone all the time. And sometimes you got to give them the benefit of the doubt, because maybe they are looking up research on refrigeration, HVAC, or manuals. As I've seen this a lot of times, and I heard this, the lead technician came in, started hollering at me because I was on my phone, but I was looking up the manual for this stuff. So, or I hear this many times, kids in class, or young, so I shouldn't say that. So younger people or newer people in the industry, in their class, in their training class, and they're on their phone. Well, some of them could be on TikTok, but some of them could be researching the manual, looking stuff up that they don't know. Because there's a lot of times, and I've even done it, where I talk about a topic and I don't remember where I am compared to where the people that were in the class. And I've learned this year over year, taking lots of different training courses, becoming a certified trainer by going to university to get better, because I knew I want to help people, and I knew I need to be different than what I was. Because I think back now is where, if I would have been sitting in that class and listening to the conversation that I was giving at that point, a few years ago, it'd be like, wow, this is way over my head. And where me standing up there and I have like this knowledge that I'm sharing, like, well, they're 10 years into the industry or whatever, I assume that they know this stuff. So assuming is so bad in our industry. That's something that I used to do a lot of. I really stopped that. There's no assuming, because you don't know where somebody's at. Doesn't matter if they're 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years in. You don't assume that the person that has 5 years has less knowledge than the person that has 10 years, and vice versa. So you really need to understand and learn over time, asking certain questions, getting to know the people. I did, there's something that I've really took me to the next level, as well as being as a better trainer, speaker, and just a person to be around. I'm originally from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, the East Coast. We're super friendly people from out there. But I took a Dale Carnegie course, and it was on public speaking. But inside there, that he has a rule book, and I highly recommend you go and look up this book. It's the Golden Rules of Dale Carnegie. Look, I even have it. It's hard to see. I even have it here on the side, because I read the stuff over and over again to try to get better. And his books are thick. I've read them a couple of times. But he has one like how to win friends and influence people. And one of there's a list of them. There's lists and lists and lists of great things that you need to be working on and working towards. But some of the ones, like, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. There's enough of those people out there. When you're doing that all the time, criticizing, complaining, condemning, how does that work? No. How do you think people are looking at you if you're doing that all the time? Because don't get me wrong, I've done that before. I used to leave a job site complaining about the customer, complaining about the produce manager not cleaning the case out. What does that do anyway? Just complaining. Just, bring it up with them. Talk to them about it. Be open about it. If they don't want to do it, okay, well then it's part of our job to fix that case, so we got to clean it out. Okay. I've seen it so many times too. When I used to complain, I come in to wash out cases in the store, nothing's pulled. Well, they have a job too. You know what I mean? Maybe they're short staffed. Maybe the person that was supposed to come in and pull the case wasn't there. So you really got to think about all the different circumstances that's going on. And this book, and I still, these rules, I still work on it. Give honest, sincere appreciation. You have to be sincere in what you're doing. You don't want to be fake. People can see right through that. And it's so important to work at it, continually to work at it all the time. I did a morning workout grind post on LinkedIn this morning, and it was this: be a good listener, encourage others to talk about themselves. That's something I work on all the time, to try to be a good listener as a husband, as a dad, and as a refrigeration professional, to really understand the needs of all of them and let them talk. Because a lot of things, I do a lot of talking here, but a lot of people just want to tell their story, have someone listen to them, because they have nobody in their life that listens to them. And this is something that if you can do and implement, it's going to make a difference for somebody else. And when you start thinking of other people, you'll start to feel better. Instead of thinking about yourself all the time, me, think about them. And I'll tell you right now, my life has totally changed from doing that, making that shift and I've always done it. I'm pretty friendly. I love talking to people. I love helping other people, but really being sincere and want to do it. Like, I have a passion to help others get better and grow and have the life that they want to live, right? Okay. Let's see, we got incorporate Brian Orr's method in training new techs by taking them to the actual equipment, visually explaining each component, engage all 5 senses in training regimen. That is awesome. Yeah, Brian is one of the top trainers in the world, I'm sure, in HVAC. Like, this guy is real passionate. He has so much knowledge, and once again, he wants to help. That's what he wants to do. He wants to help technicians be better, refrigeration or HVAC professionals be better, and you can see he has a passion for it. And go look up HVAC school and check him out. If you don't know, hopefully all of you know who Brian Orr is, but go check out his podcast. Go check out his website. He's trying to help make a difference. His tech tips is massive. There's lists and lists of them. So go search certain things. And once again, small, simple steps. Don't go in there and you look and he has 1,000 tech tips. Just each day, slowly read one, take one in, mark one off, write it down, do different things so you can understand and learn over time more and more of what he shares. Golden rules of Dale Carnegie, adding that to my list. Yes, Bill, you should. It's something that I've started reading since 2015. Yeah, like I said, I took that course in 2015. It was a Dale Carnegie public speaking course. And what was cool about it, it may not be it's pretty global, but what was cool about it, like, we did role playing. We sat in there and I did the conversation. I kind of built a blueprint of a presentation. Other things could be like Toastmasters. I know I mentioned this before, but if you're not comfortable talking in front of people, you need to do that. Because as a technician, we're talking in front of customers all the time, people inside our offices, dispatch, and you should be able to have a good dialect to talk to them. And I know my vocabulary has totally changed in the last 15 to 20 years. Like, every second word I used to curse, every third word, except if my mom was around. But I had a real dirty mouth. Now I rarely curse. Like, I'm not swearing all the time. And it's totally different. When I'm having a conversation, I F-bombs were coming out left, right, and center because that was my vocabulary. That's what I was growing up with, and that's what I dealt with. And which is, if people curse, is fine. But when you start cleaning up that talk and learning different words, that's another thing, learning new words. I do that a lot. I look words up now. That when someone says a word and I don't understand it, I go look it up. I might have to do it 3 or 4 times every time I hear it, but it's helping me grow. And learning the difference. English language is difficult. Like, you can say one word, it means 17 different things. It depends on how you say it. So going in and understanding how to learn those concepts, and it takes time. It takes a lot of time, and what you need to do is just put effort in. Anybody have anything they want to share? Fantastic. Okay, it's 6:58 now. Once again, thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you have topics you want to talk about during these sessions, or keep going like this, email me anytime. Awesome. Thank you so much. And let's get a conversation going.